Frederick Douglass, Chapter 5. My own treatment while I lived on Colonel Lloyd's plantation was similar to that of the other slave children. I was not old enough to work in the fields, and as there was little besides field work to do, I had a great deal of leisure time. The most I had to do was to drive the cows home at evening, keep the chickens out of the garden, keep the front yard clean, and run errands for Captain Anthony's daughter, Lucretia Old. I spent most of my leisure time helping Colonel Lloyd's young son, Daniel, find birds after he shot them. My connection with Daniel Lloyd was an advantage to me. He became fond of me and protected me. He would not allow the older boys to bother me, and he divided his cakes with me. Captain Anthony seldom whipped me. My greatest sufferings were produced by hunger and cold, especially cold. In hottest summer and coldest winter, I was kept almost naked. I had no shoes, no stockings, no jacket, no trousers, nothing but a coarse linen shirt which reached to my knees. I had no bed. I would have died from cold, but on the coldest nights I used to steal a bag that was used for carrying corn to the mill. I would crawl into this bag, then sleep on the cold, damp clay floor with my head inside the bag and my feet out. My feet were sometimes so cracked with the frost that I could lay a pen with which I am writing now in the deep gashes. Our food was coarse cornmeal boiled into mush. It was put into a large wooden trough and set down on the ground. The children were then called, as though we were pigs, and like pigs, we would come to devour the mush. Some ate with their bare hands, some used oyster shells, others a piece of shingle, but none ate with spoons. He that ate fastest got the most, and he that was the strongest got the best place at the trough. Few left with their hunger satisfied. I probably was 7 or 8 years old when I left Colonel Lloyd's plantation. I'll never forget the joy with which I learned that Captain Anthony had decided to let me go to Baltimore. There I would live with Hugh Old, the brother of Captain Anthony's son-in-law, Thomas Old. I learned about this 3 days before my departure. During those 3 days, I spent most of my time in the creek, washing off the dirt of the plantation and preparing myself for departure. I washed because Lucretia Old told me I had to remove all the dead skin from my feet and knees before I could go to Baltimore. She said that the people in Baltimore were very clean and would laugh at me if I looked dirty. Besides, she was going to give me a pair of trousers, which I shouldn't put on until I had removed all the dirt. The thought of owning a pair of trousers was great indeed. It motivated me to scrub until I had removed not only the dirt, but almost my skin. The ties that ordinarily bind children to their homes did not exist in my case. I felt no sadness at the thought of leaving. I was not leaving any loved one. My mother was dead. My grandmother lived far away, so I seldom saw her. I had 2 sisters and one brother who lived in the same house as I, but our early separation from our mother had made us nearly forget that we were related. My cousin Tom had described Baltimore in a way that made me wild with desire to see it. Whenever I had pointed out something beautiful or fine at Great House Farm, Tom had told me that he had seen something far more beautiful or fine in Baltimore. We sailed for Baltimore on a Saturday morning. I remember only the day of the week because I did not know the days of the month then, or the months of the year. From the ship's deck, I looked back at Colonel Lloyd's plantation for what I hoped would be the last time. Early on Sunday morning, we landed at Smith's Wharf in Baltimore. A large flock of sheep was on board. After I helped drive the sheep to a slaughterhouse, a ship hand showed me my new home. It was on Aliciana Street, in the section called Fells Point. Hugh and Sophia Old met me at the door with their little son Thomas. I saw what I had never seen before, a white face beaming with kindness. This was the face of Sophia Old. Happiness flashed through my soul. Thomas was told that this was his Freddie, and I was to take care of Thomas. I entered into the duty of my new home in a most cheerful frame of mind. My departure from Colonel Lloyd's plantation was one of the most important events of my life. If it hadn't been for this departure, I might have remained a slave. Instead, I am sitting here at my table, enjoying freedom and the happiness of my own home, writing this story. Going to live in Baltimore laid the foundation for everything that would follow. I have always seen it as the first plain sign of the kindness with which God has treated me, and marked my life with so many favors. That I was chosen to go to Baltimore is a remarkable thing. There were a number of slave children that might have been sent in my place, but I was chosen from among them all. I may be called superstitious and even egotistical in seeing this event as an act of God in my favor, but I would be lying to my own soul if I did not state my opinion. For as long as I can remember, I held the deepest belief that slavery would not be able to hold me in its filthy embrace forever. In the darkest hours of my slavery, this spirit of hope stayed with me like a ministering angel. This good spirit was from God, and to him I offer thanksgiving and praise.